community radio station called KSKQ. It's located here in Ashland. I'm here with Holly, who is one of the hosts of the show Get Behind Me Now Stay There that we play on Fridays on KSKQ. We're very honored to be here, so thank you. We've got a very rich history. I guess the history is kind of centered around you and some of your accomplishments as the founder of the Black Panther Party and the leader. And that has been some time since that's 48 years ago.
48 years ago, we founded the Black Panther Party, but 52 years ago, I created a youth jobs program in North Richmond, California in 1964. And that was all connected with, and the reason I wound up there is because I went to hear Dr. Martin Luther King speak for the first time. I was a young guy. I had done 4 years in the United States Air Force. I was out of the Air Force. I was working the Gemini missile program. I had a top flight gig, engineering department. They had a NASA contract. I did electromagnetic field black light non-destruct testing for all engine frames for the Gemini missile program. All 3 stages of exhaust housing for the Gemini missile program. I did what we call Xylo non-destruct testing for those. And so that's where I was. I've evolved by this time to these high-tech jobs, dealing with aircraft, missiles, what have you, etc. And I became interested in civil rights, particularly when I went to hear Dr. Martin Luther King speak. And I'm just one student. It's 7,000 seats in the Oakland Auditorium. Every seat is full. And I'm there to hear this guy speak, and I don't cotton to the hell and damnation churches, what I mean? I don't have time for that, well, as a kid, I guess I got tired of being traumatized about burning in hell and fire and brimstone and stuff, blah, blah, blah. My Aunt Thelma, which is another story, but she's in my film script. When we go back to my early life.
So when you heard Martin Luther King speak, is that when you
decided? It was Martin Luther King that I really heard him speak that really kicked me over to understand or get involved or want to be part of that. He was speaking about all these different companies and people who do not hire people of color at all at the time. We're talking 1963, 62, 63. And he gave this great speech, and he got on the bread companies. And I'll never forget it. He says, and here in the San Francisco, Oakland Bay Area, Langendorf Bread and Kilpatrick's Bread will not hire people of color. And all across America, Wonder Bread will not hire people of color. He says, we're going to have to boycott them. And we want to boycott them so consistently and so profoundly, we want to make Wonder Bread wonder where the money went. And that crowd, us, 7,000 people hit the floor in a standing ovation for him because he was more or less summing up, but I mean, this is what was happening. And I was truly inspired by this guy. Here's a preacher. He's not talking hell and damnation. He's talking about the things we got to do out here to change the situation, and I was inspired by that. Next thing you know, as I said, I was creating a youth jobs program. I quit my engineering job after 3.5 years. Went to work in the black community. I wasn't married or anything, And me and some other students, 3 young white students and 3 black students, we got together because we was already working for some framework housed up at the University of California. And we decided we're going to create a youth jobs program. And then it would be an educational program also, etc. And it was all about our consensus that we got to do something about institutionalized racism. We got to slow it down. And the idea, well, let's put up another institution. What we did is we created this youth jobs program in North Richmond, California. We had 100 youth in there. We got all the money, got all our little nonprofit status, got matching funds, and so on. Went before the War on Poverty Board and got the rest of the funds, bought the building, gave 6 job descriptions, our 6 job descriptions we had. We paid ourselves $380 a month, and we also paid 8 people $350 a month who were indigenous to that specific community. We really interviewed these people, make sure these people are rooted there, okay? And they would learn and know our jobs, the programs, etc., the people to go to write the proposals, to whatever, etc., blah, blah, all this kind of stuff. And an 18-month to 2-year period. That's what we would do. And we would leave because we were students with, etc. That's the whole process. And of course, the city government back here several years ago, 7, 8 years ago, gave me a proclamation for starting the first youth jobs program.
And Bobby,
California.
So with the youth program preceded the Black Panther Party. That was your first experience with organizing. How did it lead to the beginning?
No,
No?
you have to remember.
Okay,
I did 4 years United States Air Force.
I see.
Okay. In the United States Air Force, when I went to tech school, after basic training, I went to tech school. I was an honor student. I was a top student. Okay. And I didn't choose Japan. I could have chose the top bases, but I chose Rapid City, South Dakota. And the other guys were looking at me, what the fuck is up in the hell is up in Rapid City, South Dakota, man? I said, the Lakota Nation.
Okay.
And the Lakota people. You see, in age 15, 16, I had identified with the so-called Sioux. The word Sioux is a French word, I found out. It means cutthroat. The real name of the people is the Lakota peoples. This is where I was coming from. So I chose that base. Everybody says, you got the top score. You could take Japan. You could take March Air Force Base. And so I says, no, I'm going to see the Lakota, to be around the Lakota people. And that's...
So do you feel that was introducing you to the art of connecting? Because the Lakota people are very unified and connective, and the tribes thrive by staying connective. You feel like that's maybe part of what inspired you to want to unify in order to stay focused with your
That was age
lineage?
15 and 16. I didn't have any set kind of policy or politics at those days. At
Didn't
that
know.
age,
Yeah.
I just identified with them to the extent that I didn't want to run with any gangs in the community, but me and my friend Steve, I mean, we really truly identified. And being an expert in mechanical design, drawing, etc. in high school, I wanted to do the Iron Mistress. It's the Bowie knife, okay? And I drew it and put it together in sectional views, etc. and so on, and took it to my machine shop. But I already got my instructor helping me do stuff that a hammer, I don't need to do a hammer, I'm going to do a no-go gauge. What? I says, come on, Mr. Lynch, it's okay. So, that's the way I was. And so when I walked in one day, I says, I want to do this Bowie knife. He says, my God, he looked at my plans. He says, I said, I want to make 4 of them. One for my father and his friend, and one for me and my friend. And he says, Bobby, you're going to have to make 5. I says, 5? He says, you do this. He says, we're going to have this on display here at the school. And so I did the Bowie knife. The tempering process was really a piece of work for us, and he showed me the methodology to do that. Because you're making a knife and you have to have that cutting edge sharp, but the backbone of it has to be a softer area, you see what I mean? So that the thing won't split or break or something. I'm just saying, this is all part of where I was coming from.
Yeah.
But we had a lot of outdoor life, me and Steve, And in the back of the Berkeley Hills, you go down San Pablo Dam Road, and you get near El Sabranchi. But before you get to us, it was a couple of people who had small little ranches. And each one of them, one day about a mile apart, had a little corral. One had a corral, they had about 6 horses. The other one had 3 horses. And we wanted to ride these horses because we went to the movies to see Hondo. What was John Wayne's film? But we weren't trying to see John Wayne. We were trying to see over and over again the Native Americans riding these horses, and we wanted to ride horses 15, 16 years of age. I mean, and we sneak up there at night, 12 midnight, with our homemade bridles, and walk their horses out of their little corrals. We'd close the corral, etc., and then walk them. I mean, wow, baby, we get maybe out there near the San Pablo Dam Road and swing ourselves up on top of these horses by the mane, the barebacks, and ride these horses all night, 2-3 hours. Wow. Come back near the area, let the horses go, or sometimes get them back in the corral.
Wow.
We used to do that.
That's impressive.
So that was something, age 15 and 16 we did. We hitchhiked, all the way to Los Angeles, and lived off of orchards, tomato orchards, and almonds, stuff like this. Another time we wanted to go to the land of the Lakota, and we were 16 and a half, and we almost 17, and we got us some bicycles, long distance ride bicycles, and saddlebags and stuff like this, and had a 22 that was broke down in a leather pouch. We made the leather pouch, you see what I mean? And we made tomahawks, and I made those and fashioned those, and the knives and stuff. And we got on these bikes, and we started trying to ride. And we got past, and realized we was trying to cross the high Sierra Mountains on a bike. So we decided after a day and a night sleeping in the side of the grass to go back on that one. But yet we're going to get there some kind of way. So again, in the latter part of that summer, we took off again. This time we hopped freight trains. We get a freight train and we keep going and we'll make it there. This is what we're going to do with our saddlebags and our pouches and whatever. And then of course there was a big freight yard 100 miles or so outside of Sacramento. And when they stopped the freight train we was on, start breaking up the cars, and they go down this one and some would go this. And the next we looked up out of the wagon and we were floating, and finally it stopped. So I said, we better get out of here and go. I was telling him, I said, way up there, man. I said, that's another 2 mile of cars and stuff. We got to walk on. So we get out and walk on the side, and we walk into the freight yard. And the guy, he didn't look like Barney Fife, but he acted just like Andy Griffith's Barney Fife, nervous gun, everything, pulled it out. Drop them hatchets, call out homicide. Hatchets with a nervous gun. We were arrested in the freight yard by the freight yard police, not the regular police.
With tomahawks.
Well, yeah, we had.
That's great.
We both had tomahawks. We had the pouch with the 22 rifle in it, but it was a broken down rifle of something that was going. And we had all of that, but we got arrested and then put in the local jail, and they called our parents and stuff. And really, my father came up there and got us early in the morning, about 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, and drove me back. To work in the fields. My father not only had a cabinet shop and carpentry business, he also had a side business of farm labor contracting. My foot is crippled. I was hit by a car, just as I was turning 13. And whatever, my father ultimately made a settlement for a few $1,000s. And I thought, after you paid the doctor bill, there's $1,800 that the rest of this money would be for me. But little did I know, he went and bought an old Army bus for a few $100s from the Army base where he used to work at during World War II, etc. He had a lot of connections out there. And with that, we went into the farm labor contracting business also. Inside the city of Oakland, California, at 8th and Clay, was a large service station and a large lot area and the streets and stuff. And other guys had buses too. But we came in, and so my father and I would, before the crops were ready, in May and stuff like this here, we would go drive out in his pickup truck to meet the farmers. Prunes, apricots, tomatoes, string beans, what have you. So I learned a lot about the farm labor stuff and Chicano Mexican Americans being used, as labor too. You know what I mean? In those early days. So later on in life, naturally, when Cesar Chavez pops up, I'm automatically supporting everything he's arguing for, that kind of stuff. So you have to understand that background of mine in that sense, And then when we tried to get in the Army, I was rejected because of this foot. But Steve, my friend, went in, And then it was later that I was trying to deal with myself. I knew I had to get away. I turned 18 years of age. I was getting ready to, I turned just 18 years of age. And I went and tried to join the Air Force, and then they rejected me.
For the foot again?
Yeah. And I got a piece in my book, A Lonely Rage. And this guy, and I walked in, I said, hey man, I can do this. I can run 5 miles a night with this foot. I can do this. I could. Me and Steve used to, once a week at least, we would run 5 miles. This is one of our jogging exercises that we did. And this went on for a couple of years.
So you were capable?
Oh, I was quite capable.
Why did you want to be in the service? Was it something that young men did at that time?
We wanted to be in the Army to get away from the life of whatever.
See the world?
See the world and be the world. We couldn't get to the Lakota land, and so now we decided we wanted to go into the military.
Yeah.
Okay. Remember, I don't have any politics at this time, Pete.
Yeah.
Remember, no hardline politics. I don't have that yet, But I was rejected for the Army. I was rejected before I didn't even get a chance to go through the physical.
The physical, okay.
Because he says, do you have any injuries? So I showed him this injury here,
It's quite a scar.
Yeah, oh yeah. He says, well, I guess that's all right. And he says, any other injuries? You have to let me know if you have any other kind of injuries. And so I took my thing off of my foot, and when he saw that, he says, no. He rejected me. You'd have to see this. In fact, I have to portray the foot. It's this foot here is fractured, all kinds of stuff. The skin grafting, etc. If you see it, you say, whoa, what happened to you? How did you survive? This is what you'll say.
This is all before Vietnam.
Yeah, we're talking in 1955.
Okay. Yeah.
We're talking 54. 54, 55.
You're barely an adult at this point.
Well, no, I've hit 18.
Okay.
I've hit 18, and that's where I'm at. But in effect, I begged these guys at the Air Force place afterwards. So you gotta let me in this place. Literally, I was telling this guy, and I could fall to the floor and land on my hands and do 50 correct push-ups. 1, 2. This is how we trained ourselves. We trained ourselves in those 2 years to land spike, tomahawks, rifle shooting. I was already good at rifle shooting because when I was 13, my father bought me a 30-30 Winchester high-powered rifle. We hunted a lot. We hunted bear, we hunted deer, we hunted mule-tailed deer all up around Mount Shasta, McLeod, Weed, and all those places around. We hunted all. I'm talking about from 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. I hunted a lot. Okay, so I was an expert shot with the 30-30 Winchester that my father bought me. That was my rifle at age 12, and I really felt like one of the big boys. You know what I mean? These big black guys here, they were top flight hunters. My father had a 300 Savage lever action. Others had 30-aught 60s, what have you, etc. And not only did I shoot all their rifles, I learned how to shoot expertly with my own rifle. And this is at age 12. That's why when people write dumb stuff, Huey Newton taught Bobby Seale everything he ever knew about a gun. That's what P. Lee wrote this stuff. Sure. And I laughed.
It simply wasn't true.
Huey Newton, I'm 6 years older than Huey Newton.
Okay.
So when I'm 12 years of age, Huey is 6, and I don't even know who this guy is.
Right.
He doesn't exist. By the time I go in the military, I'm clocked out as an expert shot with an M1 carbine. Huey is 12 years old. I don't know who the hell he is. I go all the way through the Air Force and out of the Air Force, and what? I'm getting 28 or 29 years old or something like this is when I meet Huey Newton around Merritt College.
Why do you suppose that that misinformation came out? People said that he was...
Elaine Brown trying to discredit me.
Why?
She's stupid, one, but made me more parent. I accused her in the party.
Okay.
And the phrase I used was playing dick and pussy games. This is not what the party is about.
Okay.
Now, you go over there and screw Huey all you want, etc. I don't care about that. But don't do that in the party. So she didn't like that. Now, little did I know at the time, but this is really after I was out of jail. This is where it really started. Huey was always questioning people as to whether I supported Bobby Seale or do you support me? And that was Huey evolving a schism. But I didn't know he was doing this till the latter part of me deciding to leave and get out of the Black Panther Party. But the reason I decided to leave and get out of the Black Panther Party was I discovered or stumbled on some criminal behavior that Huey was involved in, and I didn't like it.
Okay.
And I had told Huey when I hired him at the Northrop Neighborhood Service Center before the Black Panther Party started,
okay,
no more of this criminal shit.
Okay.
The little shit he was trying to do then. Other than that, you cannot work with me. I had already organized the tutorial program. I'd already organized and got Black history in the curriculum at Merritt College. See, I'd organized 4 different program efforts. You see what I'm getting at? So I was an organizer already. Huey was not an organizer yet.
Okay.
All he was in is law school, and he read a lot of his African American history and was running around talking about I could will myself to power. What do you mean, will yourself to power? It would be years later that he was copying Hitler, willing himself to power.
Wow, that's heavy.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's what we found out about Huey. You know.
How did you feel about that?
After the fact we found this out.
Okay.
The party was over. You know what I mean? I had resigned from the party because of his criminal behavior I found out about.
Well, how did this all come to light then, after the fact?
All right. You have to understand the party.
Okay.
In the first year, there was never no more than 50 people in the Black Panther Party. The whole year. We started the Black Panther Party October 1966. And then by the time we get to October 1967, Huey has a shootout with Officer Fry. Officer Fry really had pulled his gun on Huey, and Huey's back was to him, and when Huey turned around and asked him, Huey was trying to ask him, telling him a legal point. Anytime walking and telling him a legal point in front of Officer Fry. Anytime you remove a person from one spot to another, technically that person's under arrest. I asked you what I'm under arrest for, you haven't told me. I demand to know what I'm being under arrest for. And as Huey turned around, Officer Fry had his gun out. Huey moved to push the gun away, but he didn't get it right, and he got shot by Officer Fry in the side. Not flesh wound, shot. This is what happened. Okay. And of course, there's other people there, and shooting happened. And we proved in court that Officer Haynes attempted to shoot. When Huey grabbed the gun in front of the patrol car, Officer Fry, they were wrestling and tussling over the front of the patrol car, and they were falling to the ground. Officer Haynes, a young man, he's almost still a rookie, is trying to shoot Huey, falling. And we proved in court that the first bullet that hit Officer Fry came from Officer Haynes' gun. This is really what we proved in court. But then there were 9mm shots, 4 more in Officer Fry's body, and 8 9mm shots in Officer Haynes' body. Officer Haynes lived. Officer Pride died. See what I mean? That's the night. That's the first shootout that ever happened in the Black Panther Party. There had never been any more shootouts. Been some standoffs in the early days of patrolling the police and all that. There had never been a shootout. Okay? So the party was not about a need for a shootout. We were not about that. It was really a political thing. The need to organize politically. That's what I was about, and that's what I wanted the party to be about. So when you understand this, now, that's the early days. I told Huey, don't run around here talking about robbing no goddamn banks. I'm giving you this job so you have money in your pocket. If you start doing that, you and I will never work together. That's what I told him. And he knew that. Okay, you're right. You're very right. You're very right, Huey would say. Blah, blah, blah. Now, years pass. Huey goes to jail. He was in jail for 3 years, 4 years. While Huey's in jail, I organized 5,000 people into the Black Panther Party. Okay? Huey didn't organize these people. I'm the one that had the face-to-face relationship with 5,000 members in the Black Panther Party. Because I'm the one that went to all the chapters and all the branches and gave them their political education classes, how to organize, the demographics of organizing and political precincts and all this kind of stuff, and using basic programs in the community to unite the people around and maintaining a consistent voter registration drive. This is what we do, because ultimately what we want to do is unify the black vote with any other liberal votes, with any other brown people's votes, etc., and take over as many political power seats as we can. Any city council seats, etc., county supervisorial seats, this is what we had to do. And that if we don't do this, you're never going to have any black power, any people's power, because you don't have the political seats. And that was what my political organizing strategy was about.
Went from 70 to 5,000 people in how much time?
What do you mean, 70?
Well, you said in the first year, in 1967, they were talking about 70 Black Panthers?
50.
50, okay.
Duly elected black politicians.
Okay.
In the whole United States.
Oh, I see. I didn't understand at first. I thought you were talking about the membership.
The whole of the United States of America in the middle of the 1960s, I could count no more than 50 black politicians elected across the United States, including Adam Clayton Powell at the time.
Okay.
This is the middle of the 60s in 1965. I'm working for city government in 65 and 66.
Okay.
You see what I mean? So so my goal objective in organizing and starting the party in October of 66 was, when we patrolled the police, we was trying to capture the imagination of the people. To capture the imagination of the people, I could get them to come to meetings. And I tell them, you don't have to carry a gun to be in the Black Panther Party. What we really want to do here is organize voter registration drives and programs in the community. Remember, I already organized programs. I knew the value of them. I already organized and united that little community in North Richmond out there. They loved that program. And then Saturdays, I had black history classes in empty church facilities. You know, that when I think the Lutheran group was out there, they didn't really have a congregation. They had some people on Sundays that come out, but they let me use the church. They gave me a key to the place. Well, I would have a couple of barbecue pits out there, etc., right up to the thing. I always have some food out there. I always loved the idea of food, etc. My point is that I not only got the youth to come to these classes, I had 150, 60, 70 people coming to those classes every Saturday. The mothers and some of the fathers. And I'm teaching them. You know what I mean? Do you know why you dropped the THERAR sounds? What? What are you talking about? I says, you notice something? Listen, Mrs. So-and-so? Yeah, Bobby, what you want? I knew she dropped these, Well, that ain't right, so-and-so. So I said, you hear what she said? What? She said, that ain't right. She didn't say that. She said, that ain't right. What? I said, yeah. I used to have a lady when I was 11 years old. She would holler at her son. Jimmy Lee, get in this house. Shut that door and clean this mess up off that floor. You have to understand me. When I researched in 62, 63, 64, Boom, I ran across Marvel J. Herscovitz's Myth of the Negro Past. It's a very important work. And in that work, reading it and trying to digest this dissertative work, boom, he made reference to a African-American named Dr. Lorenzo Dow Turner, who had done 12 years of field research all through the Western African countries from Senegal all the way down to Angola. It was a linguistic thing that he was doing. And he found out in all the English-speaking people that African, there were no T-H-E-R-A-R, rolling R sounds in any of these Western African languages.
Now it makes sense.
So when you take it in slavery, as he put it, and then you're separated from any other people in your language group, and then you to America, etc., boom, 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 etc., where are you at? You're forced to learn the English language under oppressive conditions, right? Instead of saying this, the TA sound, you tend to say dis, dat, dim, yo, mo, fo. There were no T-H-E-R-A-R rolling R sounds in the West African languages, documented by Dr. Lorenzo Dow Turner's and surviving Africanisms in the Gullah languages and surviving Africanisms in Black American language.
Aha, moment.
Idiomatic expressions, etc. So now this is not, in other words, this is all part, in other words, others, eugenics, and all these people out of England and all that kind of would criticize the inferiority, or talk about the inferiority of black folks and stuff. So me, I took every anthropology class there was at Merritt College, all four of them, you know what I mean? And I loved anthropology. I loved that good science, you know. And so, of course, this all overlaps with this material I'm studying, etc. And so I made a big issue out of this, you know what I mean, around campus, etc. Why we dropped the T-H-E-R-A-R rolling R sounds. Bang. You know what I mean?